Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Wilton Report, the Princeton area's only real estate podcast. And my name is Josh Wilton. Today, we're going to be talking about the 12 things you need to know before you move to Princeton. Stay tuned. Okay, everybody, welcome back to this week's edition of the Wilton Report. I do realize that we did not shoot one last week. I apologize for that. It's just a busy summer schedule. So this week, we are going to talk about the things that you need to know, 12 of them, in fact, before you move to Princeton, New Jersey. It's going to be a little bit of a different type of episode, less numerically driven, and more just what the heck do I get when I move to Princeton? So we're going to talk about that. So, of course, I do track inventory because everything is inventory in the market. It's really low. In the beginning of July 9th, we had 63 homes on the market. We are down to 54 homes on the market in Princeton, 54% of which are above 2 million. So we're sort of in that summer doldrum phase. It's August. Everyone's going on holiday. If not, they should, myself included, even though I'm not. And there's just not a lot transacting right now in the market. That'll pick up in the fall. So let's talk about the 12 things you need to know before you move to Princeton, or maybe you're a Princeton resident and it's sort of like living next to the Statue of Liberty. You look at it, but you just don't go see it. That's sort of what today's episode is all about. So the first thing, for anybody moving from New York City, I just want to be clear that Princeton actually does not have a train. So I know it's known as a commuter town. We have something called a Dinky. D-I-N-K-Y. And a dinky in the locomotive world is used to describe a small train track, which is basically Princeton to West Windsor, which the train runs. So the Princeton to Princeton Junction train started in 1865. The vernacular to describe the track was a dinky track, and it just stuck. So now the name of the train in Princeton is called the Dinky. It's about a mile to Princeton Junction, which connects you to either Philly and Washington, D.C., or obviously where most people go, Midtown direct to New York City. So just keep in mind, if you're looking for a train to Princeton, it's Dinky, just for those of you from out of town. Number 2, coffee is king in Princeton. I was doing some research for today's episode, and I have to admit I was shocked because I'd say in the last 5 years, there's been an explosion of coffee shops in Princeton. So there are 2 Starbucks. There is a Dunkin' Donuts, at least one that I know of. But then there are 5 or 6 other independently owned coffee shops, probably the most famous of which is called Small World Coffee. They have 2 locations in Princeton. There's Sacred Coffee, spelled with a K. There's Illy at Earth's End on Spring Street, which is a very cool place. I've only been there once. Maman, and then there's another one, Rojo's in Palmer Square. So there is a plethora of independent coffee shops in Princeton. Which one is my favorite? I don't really buy coffee out, but if I did, I don't know. I think it's whichever one's closest and has the least line. So I would say, 10 years ago, it was Small World or Starbucks. Now there's really been an explosion in independent coffee shops. And I have to say, when I go by them, they're all packed. There's one right under the Graduate Hotel downtown. This one I'm going to spend a minute on, public parks. So we get a lot of people from New York City. Obviously, the New York City park system is world famous. You have Central Park. You have a lot of parks throughout the 5 boroughs. I think Central Park's probably the most well-known. Princeton has over 20 public parks. I did not know that myself. Over 20-year resident to Princeton. Community Park North has 71 acres. Barbara Smoyer Park, which is in Littlebrook, 38 acres. And if you have children and they play sports, you're going to be familiar with a lot of these places. Community Park South, pool, pickleball courts, tennis courts, baseball courts, dog park. Princeton's got a cool dog park now. That's Community Park South. Then there's what I call pocket parks. Pocket parks are these little parks you're just walking along, like on Pine Street. There's a little tiny park on Pine Street in the dead center of town, in the middle of the tree streets. I don't even know the name of that one. There's a cute one on Littlebrook, on Stanley and Erdman. It's called Potts Park. Maggie's Park on Spruce Lane in downtown Princeton. And then a really nice pocket park about 100 yards from where I'm standing that way, Harrison Street Park in the Riverside neighborhood, very close to the university. So a lot of parks in Princeton. There's the Institute Woods, which is over by the Institute of Advanced Study, 584 acres. Princeton Battlefield, which if you're a history buff or you just read the newspaper, Princeton Battlefield's in it pretty often, has a park. So, and then Billy Johnson Preserve, 71 acres. So there is an amazing public park system within Princeton. I don't even think as residents we realize it. Maybe we do, but maybe not the expanse of the public park system. It's quite impressive for anybody coming from out of town that wants accessible green space. Pizza. So first off, let's just end the myth. New Jersey has better pizza than any other state in the union. We have better bagels too. If you don't like it, I don't really care. You don't have to move here. So Princeton has some pretty good pizza action. I will say my favorite is Pizza Star. Nino owned it for years. He recently sold it, so hopefully it stays the same. However, it's probably the most traditional New York style of pizza. Nomad Pizza, great place at the shopping center, great pizza, a little more, boutique. Saturn at the IVN is great pizza. My son, Sean, may serve you pizza from time to time when he's in town. So it's great pizza, and the IVN's a great place. Pizza Den, I'm not even sure it's there anymore, but Pizza Den, there's another one down the other end of Nassau Street. And then, of course, probably the most famous is 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶𝐄𝐓'𝐒 Pizzeria. It was famous to locals. On a Friday night, you're going to wait. They take your order while you're in line. You sit down. I don't think anything in that place, including the chairs and the tables, has changed since they opened, which makes it really awesome. Pizza's great, it's thin crust. So if you're from out of town, it was also made famous by that annoying guy that does the pizza reviews, Dave, whatever his name is, on Barstool Sports. So he did a review of 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶𝐄𝐓'𝐒's, got a very high score. So a lot of people discovered 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶's. Restaurants. So again, if you're moving from the city or if you're moving from an area that has dense restaurant action, on Experience Princeton website, which is experienceprinceton.com, you can check it out. There's over 80 restaurants listed in Princeton, which I find incredible because you tend to get in a rut, go to the same ones. Some classics, Teresa's, it's Italian. Triumph, it's a brew pub. Blue Point Grill, great seafood. Mediterra, again, it's sort of Mediterranean, owned by the Momo brothers. Elite 5 Sushi, run by a gentleman named Tony. You can tell him Josh said to go there. It's probably, at least in my estimation, the best sushi place in Princeton. There's very upscale dining like Mistral. There's more lowbrow like 𝐂𝐻'𝐿's, which is a great place on Nassau Street. So there's Thai, there's Chinese, Tiger Noodle. There's everything you want in Princeton, over 80 restaurants in Princeton alone for you to choose from, which is really incredible for a small little town in the western middle part of the state. But that's because we have a big university right next to us. So again, if you're relocating here from another city and you're like, well, I want parks, I want coffee, I want yoga, right? Yoga is a pretty popular activity. There's over 10 studios in and right near Princeton. 10. I know Gratitude Yoga is very popular. Pretty sure Gemma, who runs that, does yoga in Barbara Smoyer Park on nice weekends. I think on Saturday mornings. You'll have to Google that and check it out, or ChatGPT it, as it were. So there's indoor yoga, there's outdoor yoga, there's hot yoga, which is my personal favorite. I could use the extra calorie burn, and it's called Breathing Dragon Yoga. It's just a couple miles north of Princeton. A really nice lady named Maury runs that. And again, you can tell that Josh sent you. Awesome place if you're looking for hot yoga. So over 10 yoga studios really right in and around Princeton. Soccer. So if you're moving to Princeton with children and you're looking to enroll them in soccer because it's pretty ubiquitous, every kid, at least for a minute or two, plays soccer. There's 5 different youth leagues in Princeton. There's PSA, Princeton Soccer Association, Princeton FC, Princeton Football Club, PYSL, Princeton Youth Soccer League. I don't even know what that is. I know that's a newer one. Dutch Total Soccer, which is a little bit north of Princeton. It's not truly in Princeton proper. And Soccer Shots, which my understanding just opened. So again, as a parent, I have 3 kids. I can pretty much safely say pretty much all of them, with the exception of my daughter, played soccer at some point. And it's a big part of the fabric of Princeton. There is, of course, Little League. There is a softball league. There is a flag football league as well, but soccer seems to be the dominant youth sport, at least locally. There are other odd sports. I don't want to say odd, just different sports that you can enroll your children in. My son is off to college. He's a shot putter. So if you follow me on Instagram, which you can at JoshWilton71, I do post about my kids' athletic events. So Sean is off to Brown University as a shot putter. Why? Because we enrolled him in track camp when he was in middle school. So other sports your kids can do in Princeton: pickleball, seemingly everywhere. You can play it at Lifetime. You can play it at Community Park. You can play it at, which is the public courts. There's pickleball seemingly everywhere around here. Princeton Pong, which is table tennis, right over the bridge in West Windsor. Princeton mailing address. Sebastiani Fencing Academy. Princeton Archery, golf. There are, I think, 7 or 8 public courses within 6 miles of Princeton, and another 9 private within 15 miles of Princeton. So golf is pretty ubiquitous around here, but there are definitely some interesting sports you can play. There's 4 different Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studios. I looked it up, all in and around Princeton. And then there's the Y, there's Lifetime, there's Princeton Fitness, all these different places that you can go locally. So Princeton's a pretty interesting place. It's a great place to live. And it's a great place to recreate, I guess would be the word. So theater, a lot of people who move here from the city are used to theater, and they can go to a jazz club, they can go to Broadway, they can go to off-Broadway, they can go downtown, whatever they want to do. Princeton does have a theater scene. We actually have a theater district, which is anchored by McCarter Theater over by Princeton University, right on the western edge of the university on Alexander Road. We have Princeton Garden Theater, which is actually a local community-owned movie theater. It's right on Nassau Street. I was just there. I saw The Life of Brian. It was actually awesome. And they have professors come out and they talk about the directors, and they talk about the history of the film, and they talk about things that matter. And is that, the film, at least The Life of Brian, spoke about all those years ago when those guys made it. So a lot of them still relevant today. Princeton University has programs which they open to the public. There's summer programs. The high school has some of the best bands in the state. They have the jazz band. They have the studio band. The studio band kids, they record albums. That's how good they are. So open to the public, a lot to do in Princeton. As a matter of fact, if you want to keep track of some of the things to do, you should follow the mayor, Mark Frieda, on Instagram. I think it's Mayor Mark, if I'm not mistaken. He never seems to miss an event. I don't know how the guy sleeps. Running. So running is just one of those sports that it's easy to do. You just need a pair of sneakers and shorts. In my case, a shirt, because you don't want me running without a shirt. There's 7 distinct running clubs in Princeton. So in the town of Princeton, this does not include the university, does not include the Division I athletic scene in Princeton, which is there. This is just 7 distinct running clubs in the little town of Princeton. I didn't even know that myself, but it's there. Museums. There's some great museums. Princeton University Art Museums, which is reopening October 2025. It is really beautiful. It's a world-class museum. They have a natural history museum on the campus, also open to the public. There's the Clark House at Princeton Battlefield. There's the Einstein exhibit. So there's the one on Nassau Street, so the Princeton Museum. So there's a lot of little things to do in Princeton if you're looking to get out and about. There's the Princeton Public Library. Not a museum. There's a library on the campus, which is open to the public as well, has a kids room in it. It's really, really exquisite. So a lot to do as parents, a lot to do when your kids leave the house, which is my situation now. I'm kind of looking for things to do without my kids around. And then lastly, real estate brokers. There's 41 different real estate companies in Princeton. Obviously, Queenston is the only independently owned and operated real estate company in the town of Princeton. I'm sure there's some others locally, but we're the only one in Princeton. So we appreciate your support as a locally owned business. And if you have not subscribed to the Wilton Report channel, please hit the subscribe button. It helps support the podcast. It helps reach new messengers. Please feel free to share our podcast with your friends that are thinking of moving to Princeton, especially today's episode. And that's it for this week's edition of the Wilton Report. Hope you enjoyed it. See you guys all again next week.